Hey, good afternoon. Friday the 25th of August 2023. Hope your day is good. Hope you're doing good. Just want to give a testimony a bit about myself. My name is Mark Rodriguez, born in Colchester, 1962. Believe it or not, the hair tells you that the 60 is nothing. Take away the 6 and it's 0 and it's 6. But I just want to let you know that God loves you. God loves you so much. Me, I grew up to be, my father was an army man, Michael John Rodriguez, Sergeant Rodriguez, 87 years old, still going. And Nancy Rodriguez, dad English, mum Swedish. I was born to them in 1962, born in Colchester, in an army barracks. My dad moved all around the place as an army man. He'll still say to you, he's a soldier. Even today, he's going selling uniforms. Even at that age, he's still going. So I was born to them in Colchester. Grew up, moved in different places. Colchester, Witten, Germany, Mill Hill East, Mill Hill Barracks, Finchley, North London. And eventually my dad came out of the army, moved to Didcot, Oxfordshire. And I went to St. Brian's School. I've got a brother, Helen, and a younger brother, 5 years younger, Ian. And when I was at school, and from probably about 12 years old, I was nicknamed Roddy. My name, I think by some guys, Tom and Barry Griffiths, from Mill Hill. I think Barry was on that one and they nicknamed me Roddy. So that was my nickname at school. Everyone knew me as Roddy. I even got a tattoo on my arm, Roddy, little Roddy, I'd be known as. And was always small for my age. Even when I was at school, I was one of the smallest in my year. When I left school in 1917 and at 16 years old, I was 4'10". That's how small I was. And I was behind. The thing is meaning behind that when everyone else had pubic hair, when I left school, I never had hairs under my arms. I had no hair on my face. As I said, I was 4'10". So when I was 16, I looked about 13 years old, and left school. My first main job was working in the canning factory. When I was coming to 17, the fashion, the madness and specials and two-tone area came in, and I got attracted to the specials and the madness, and I liked the dress style, so I decided to have a skinhead, and I got my hair cut short and I began to roll up my jeans and began into the skinhead fashion, following all the two-tone, wearing all the braces, wearing the Fred Perrys, wearing the Crombies, hanging out with my mates. Clifford was my best mate, Clifford and Nobby and a load of others, Glenn Hilton. We were the skinheads in Didcot, various few skinheads, working in the canning factory, which I sort of hated. As I said, when I was so small that when I left there, when I started there in I think September of 1979, I had to roll up my sleeves on the uniform, on my arms, on my thing, because I was so small. I couldn't do the ordinary jobs the guys did, so most of the time I was sweeping up. I didn't do the jobs because I was so small, but eventually I did grow a little bit through being a skinhead, and through a few mates I went first of all to Reading with a friend of mine called Tebbet. I wasn't too impressed with the Reading fans. I'm sorry to say, no offence to the Reading, but they did not strike me as fighters. A few months later I went along with my friend Nobby McLaughlin, a big Irish family. We started going, he was an Oxford fan. We went to Oxford United versus Sheffield Wednesday, and I remember Sheffield Wednesday, big Sheffield Wednesday fans coming into the thing, and I remember Nobby grabbing hold of me, pulling me away from this thing into the other side of the London Road in Oxford, and they wouldn't have touched me anyway. But anyway, I got go into Oxford United. I started going to Oxford United, Oxford, at Reading, Oxford, at Swindon, a few Oxford away games, a few Oxford Millwall. Interest in Millwall would always come in the Oxford end. Anyone knows the football, so I got into being a bit of a football hooligan. growing into being a skinhead. Eventually I started some friends went to used to go to West Ham, and we went to the Charity Shield, West Ham Charity Shield at Liverpool at Wembley, and because I think West Ham, I think it was 1981, had won the FA Cup. I think Liverpool must have won the League Cup, so West Ham were playing Liverpool at the Charity Shield. I went with I think Wayne Fleming, Martin Rees, maybe Michael Barnes, Glenn Hilton. I think that was it, and we went to West Ham at Wembley, and I was mesmerised by all these West Ham fans in a different level compared to Oxford United, who was 3rd division. And after that game I started going to West Ham had gone up from the 2nd division, and I went to the first home game at Upton Park, was West Ham, incidentally versus Sheffield Wednesday, and I started going to West Ham. When I went to the West Side, all the roasted peanuts, all the skinheads, all the twist and shout, and I was quite mesmerised by all the West Ham fans. Again, it was a different level compared to the Oxford United, had 3,000 average crowds, and then you go to West Ham, and then I started going to West Ham away games. I was in, again, I was still a skinhead at this time, and I started going to West Ham. West Ham away, I remember going to West Ham away at West Brom, West Ham at Stoke. I remember going West Ham when I was still a skinhead to all the way up to Leeds, and incidentally I'm living in Yorkshire now, in Bradford, but I was still living at Didcot at that time, so going to West Ham at Leeds, and I remember Leeds coming and attacking some of the West Ham fans, which was an unusual thing because not many people attacked the West Ham, but everyone knows about the Leeds reputation. West Ham have a reputation, but Leeds also do, and I remember seeing the Leeds for the first time. And anyway, I carried on going to West Ham games at home, West Ham at Arsenal, West Ham at Tottenham, and seeing various things. Excuse the noise as the fireworks often go down off in Bradford. That's it. Anyway, so I started going to West Ham away, and then when I was going away, I'd see things going on. I remember being at Stoke away and seeing these guys in the Stoke end, this fighting going on, and it's like you hear this, I see it, and I got, even after the game, you see these groups of West Ham going around, and a lot of these West Ham would be dressed, not necessarily skinheads, some of them were, but some of them would be dressed in more casual gear, with trainers and things like that, and dressed a bit like I remember seeing the Millwall at Oxford, the certain gear, the Farahs, and trainers and all kind of things, and Fred Perry's. So I started dressing like the leather jackets. I started going to, I was quite impressed with these West Ham, and I started noticing that all this, every time you went away, like Birmingham away, I'd see something going on, and they'd be singing out, I see it, and I got to know this group called the Under Fives. That's the West Ham youth hooligans. West Ham hooligans. Never ignore the fireworks, that's just the way it is. So anyway, I started dressing like these West Ham and following some of these West Ham. I remember I started going with a guy called Nick Sanderson. He lived in Sutton Courtenay, but he also went to a lot of the games. So me and him, because there weren't many in Didcot that were going to all the games, but I was one of those ones. We had a few people that did go, Glenn, Gavin Harvey, Michael Barnes, but they didn't really go to many games. But I was starting to go into all the games. Like one thing in my nature as a young man, I was quite a dedicated person when I started doing it, so I started going to all the games. Birmingham away, Aston Villa away, Stoke away. Stoke was always lively, always going off there. Liverpool away, Man United away, Man City away, Sunderland away. I went to a lot of the games. And again, you get involved with these, you start running along with this group called the ICF, follow along with them. And I've noticed the gear that they'd be wearing, they'd be wearing all the leather jackets. And again, the scene was growing, the casual scene started to come in. The people were wearing all the trainers, the Adidas, the Nike and everything else. They'd be wearing Dr. Sheeny, they'd be wearing Lacoste, and it'd be all the football fans. And the West Ham were wearing all the leather jackets. We were wearing the lowest jeans, the forward things. So I started to change from this skinhead thing to all this casual thing, along with the Pringle jumpers. and all that kind of stuff. And I was getting heavily involved with the West Ham, really addicted to the game. And again, you're getting involved in a few fights, you know, and the addiction was there. When you go along to the game and you're going to away somewhere like Stoke, and everyone knows Stoke is always live. You go along there, you either go on with a few hundred of you, especially if you go on the London train, go and meet the guys, and you'd go up together and you'd be with all the guys walking along. You'd walk along, you'd develop the Cockney walk. Cockney had a certain walk, as the Millwall would know, and you'd go along to these games. Go to Arsenal Way. I remember going to Arsenal Way, there's some fight going on. I jumped over the barrier and got involved. Some West Ham fan attacked some Arsenal fan. I went in to stick the boot in. Yeah, I know I was wrong, but I was involved in the hooliganism. I was a skinhead before this, so that was part of the thing of it. So I went and stick the boot in. Next minute there was a horse running at me, and it was, you know, a cop horse. Obviously they just run the horse. The police horsemen on their horses run the horses at you to stop the thing, and the horse hit me. Luckily I bumped to the side and not in front, otherwise I'd have been trampled by that horse. Just an example of the things I think, you know. And it's quite, I remember going to West Ham out way, quite dangerous things when you're going to places like Tottenham. I never ever went to Chelsea with West Ham. Chelsea, I think, were in the old second division at that point. Anyway, I got very involved in all of this. So around this time I also got involved I had a few incidents when I was fighting. I realised I didn't really know how to, I was brave, but I didn't really know how to fight, so I started doing boxing. I had done a little bit of taekwondo, but I started doing boxing, and I started training very, very serious at Abingdon Boxing Jail, and got involved, you know, had a few bouts, I think in a, what do you call it, 1983, I was working at the canning factory. Well, I left the canning factory, and as I said, I was very, very involved with the West Ham ICF. I call myself an ICF wannabe, because you can say you're ICF, but not everyone is really SAS. Some people call themselves SAS. There's different levels of soldiers. Not everyone is SAS. And if they tell you they're SS, they're probably not, as my old man did. If someone is in a pub telling they're SAS, they're probably not. And like when you're ICF and you're proper ICF, you're proper one of the firms, there's a different level. There's a different level of hardness, just like you got amateur boxing and professional boxing. You can do boxing. I had 7 bouts and won the first 4, lost the last 3. But you know, when there's a different level of fighting at football, there's even, you know, different firms have their group, Leeds have their service crews, there's different levels. So I was a West Ham wannabe, running along up for it, but you know, involved in stuff. I remember being involved one time, one of the some scary incidents that I was involved with when I went to Liverpool away. And what happened, you know, you'd go up with the London trains because you'd be with the London lads, because like, if I lived in Didcot, which is near Oxford, it's better if you go up together, so you're with all the lads. So anyway, there was about 50, 60 of us, and when we got to the ground, the police escorted us to the ground. And when we got near the ground, I remember there being outside the Liverpool ground, there was all the burger things. Suddenly the police just left us alone. I remember that being some of the ICF and some of the under 5s. If you don't know what that is, it doesn't matter. The football guys who know that, those who know, real football firms from different grounds would have heard of the ICF and the under 5s. And obviously the West Ham guys know they are. I remember some of the under 5s being there, and probably some of the ICF. But it seemed to me some of the younger ones, I don't know if any of the ICF, where sometimes you don't always come together. So really, you can get the train, you might miss the first mob, and the second mob might come a bit later. I don't know, so I think it was a mixture of some of the ICF and some of the under 5s. I only say some of the ICF because there's a book by Kaz Pennant, who was part of the ICF. He's written books, there's a film about his life. In his book there's pictures, and inside that book there's a group outside the court when they were appealing for a court case, and there's a whole group of ICF and the under 5s, and I know some of them are the under 5s, and the under 5s will know what I mean, that they'll know, but I know that some of them were at that Liverpool game, outside the ground when the police let go of us. So when they let go of us, all the West Ham guys are looking like, what's going on? They're letting us. So we were around, let's go and look for their boys. So we went looking around. We went down to Coronation Street. We walked down this road, and there was this group, a mob of Liverpool. I'd say about two at the end of like a Coronation Street, the type of Coronation Street where there's no gardens. The little front door, it's narrow, there's no garden, and they're very narrow, just like Coronation Street. And at the end of there was mob. So we go down there, and we're running down there. As we're going down there, and I'm running along with him. As I'm saying, just be honest, I'm running along. These were some of I know it was some of the under fives. Some of them will know. And then as we get down there, they're throwing bricks, they're throwing coal. And I remember it looked like coal, it looked like snow, but coal. That's how they're. Some of these West Ham, some of these hardcore under fives, I know they were. I'm sure they were. They will know. They confirmed that they were ducking it. They were not scared. But as we got nearer to them, these guys were having iron bars that you couldn't even lift. That's it. They were all completely tooled up. So obviously we couldn't fight it. So as we came back, I came past an alleyway, and as I came past the alleyway on my left, exactly as I met the alleyway, a copper come out with his police dog on the thing, on a lead. And as I met, just as I hit the wall, as I collided, as the dog came out, the dog's mouth came out and bit my arm, grabbed my arm, and it was like time froze, and I went on the floor. It was like time went in slow motion. I went on the floor, fell on the floor. The police let dog. I was crapping myself, and then the police let go of me. The police dog let go of me, and I ripped all my jeans, and I happened to have one of those puffer coats on, luckily. And because of this puffer coat, all I had was four holes in my puffer coat. If I never had this, and I had four bruises under my thing, otherwise my arm would have been ripped open. I'd have had proper teeth in my thing. And that was before the game. So as we're going back, the police were also meeting us at the end of the thing. So obviously I believe that the Scouse police arranged it with the Scouse fans to set us up. Anyway, we went to the game, and that was just an example of some of the scary situations that we were involved in. And when even after the game, it was going off, and some of the big guys, I'm talking about big guys, I'm talking about guys that are 25, I'm talking about proper guys. It was going off between West Ham and Liverpool. I remember even then, I remember some of the police, West Ham were there, and some of the scouts there, and it was going off big guys. I'm talking about, guys, I don't know if Bill Gardner was, but some big guys. It was scary, and I'll be honest, that day, before that game, I always felt like going home. When I got bit by that police dog, I felt like going home, but there I was. I just had to be there and carry on. But anyway, after this was going on, I remember the police dogs, as the West Ham were there, police dogs or horses running into the West Ham fans. It was almost to cut off the West Ham fans so that a few would be left, so that the Liverpool could pick them up. Liverpool was known as Stanley City. Football fans will know what I mean. I do remember that day. I remember Animal. West Ham guys, just so you can confirm that I'm not just, making this up. You know who Animals. ICF know Animals, and you know Andy Swallow, Kaz Pennant and all the others. Danny Harrison. Just to confirm, so I'm not just blabbing it that this thing, making up stories. And I remember when the police were running with these horses, the Animal just ran in at this little street, ran in feet first. And anyone who knows Animal knows what he's like. That's why he was called Animal. And there's a lot of stories about Animal was originally a Scouse boy. That's the stories I heard. He was either Everton or Liverpool. And there's an unwritten rule between the Scouse fans that Everton and Liverpool don't pick up. Somehow did. I don't know, but somehow he had to leave Liverpool, and he got involved with West Ham. And everyone knows Animal. But anyway, just an example of some of the dangerous situations I was involved with. Well, that was well above my league. Some of the proper ICF, even the under fives, some of them are really hardcore. Know what I mean? Like, Bill Gardner, everyone know Bill Gardner, knows about him. They were like my heroes. Then when I was probably about 20, he's probably about 30 years old at that point. Just say how involved was it? I was with the football hooligan, the football hooliganism. Anyway, carrying on. because I said this is my testimony. I'm going on and on about it, but really you could say I'm an ex-football hooligan, ex-ICF wannabe. Maybe that's what I'm going to call this. Anyway, in 1983, when I left the canning factory, I got arrested. A few of my mates, there was a whole piece where the pubs were open all day, so me and my mates were drinking all day. Nobby, Gary Hamlin, quite a few of the other lads that I used to hang around in Didcot. Nobby McGlotter and a few of the others. Baggy Hamlin, Gary Hamlin. We were drinking all day, and my friend had his arm in plaster. Gary Hamlin, Baggy. And because he had his arm in plaster, I went to rescue my mate from this copper. So I tried to punch the copper, apparently. Apparently it was quite comical, according to my building mates who worked for Tony King. They said the copper was holding my head and I was trying to swing. Now it might seem like nothing, it might seem funny, but I'd actually, because I've been boxing about a year, I'd actually knocked down some big guys, so I could have got done for assault on copper. So lucky I didn't hurt the copper, and the copper, I got nicked, and I got done for assault on a copper, as did my mate Gary Hamlin. A few others got nicked as well. Anyway, so I got arrested for that. A few months later, I had my first mini car. I went out drinking, left my car drunk, came back drunk, took my car out and drove it around and hit a tree or a wall or something and roped the car off. The car, or didn't write it off completely, hit the petrol cap in. I don't know how it didn't explode. The petrol tank was bashed in. I don't know why it didn't explode. Maybe God was looking after me then. And the front left wheel was square. The back wheel was flat and square. I tried to drive home, so I dumped the car home because it was driving like a crab. It wasn't dry going forward. So I dumped the car, ran home, knocked it. A few hours, an hour or something later, the police knocked on the door. My dad came up, said, "The police are after you. What have you done?" And the police said, "Have you been drinking?" I said, first of all, they said, "Have you got a car?" I said, "Yes." "Where is it?" I said, "Outside." They said, "Have you haven't been out?" I said, "No." "Have you been drinking?" "Yes." So they breathalyzed me. They took me down to the police station. They said, "You say you've not been drinking. I want to warn you that." And also, when I did dump that car, some guy came out of his thing. It was down in the village of Hagborn, past the pond. I hit a wall or a tree or something. Some man came out of the thing this was late at night, about 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so they were going on at the police station. You know, if you say you've not been driving, if you get found that you're lying, you get taken to court and you're found that lying, you can be down for perjury. This could be a prison sentence. So in the end, I relented and I just said yes. I put my hands up, I said yes, I pleaded guilty, yes, I've done it. So I got done, I got banned, and I got fined. So then again, that was the next thing. A few months later, at the end of the year or beginning, I went to Reading, Oxford. And I said that I was a football hooligan. I used to go to mainly West Ham, but I went to Oxford United because it was local. You go to Oxford when they're playing Millwall, for example, things like that. I knew some of the Bradford Leeds guys. I knew some of my mates that went to Oxford United, so I would go to Oxford United. So I went to Reading, Oxford away, and I went in the Reading end with some of my mates. I said to my mate who I worked with, Viv Rogerson, God bless him, rest in peace. I said to my mate on Friday who I was working with, I said, I'm going to go and do a Reading guy. So I went in the Reading end. In the Reading end, steaming in, like an proper ICF. And I ran in there, steaming in there, punching, kicking, knocked somebody down, and kicked somebody in the head. Next minute, 2 arms grabbed me from behind, and I was nicked by a copper. By then I was 20, but I looked about 15. So he said, "How old are you?" He said, "You vicious little thing," because I was a vicious little thing. You think I was boxing and I was fit, and I'd been going along with West Ham for about 2 years, so I was quite a violent young man. Anyway, he said, "How old are you?" And I said, and he also said to the cop, "Did you get the other guy, maybe the guy I assaulted?" He said, they didn't get hold of him. But anyway, he said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 15, hoping that you would say, get out, kick me at the backside and say, get out." But he didn't. I got arrested for breach of peace. So again, I had all those things coming on. So that's when I began to check my behaviour. Around that time, I kind of stopped going to football, not because I thought it was wrong, but because I was working by that time as a labourer. And all the fines I was paying, all the money I was getting, I was having to pay off all these fines. I had about £300, £400 fines. My car was a write-off. So I began to check my behaviour. I stopped going to football. I banned myself, not because I thought it was wrong, but because not because I thought it was wrong, but because again, not because I thought it was wrong, but because I knew that if I went to a football match, as soon as I went, when it's going off, I'd want to run in there. There was like something in me, there was like an addiction that wanted me to run and get involved with the fighting. I couldn't help it. I'd just be there. I remember watching the game, I'd be seeing what's going on that end, where's it going on? I'd be up for it. Even though I was small, I'm 5'5", something now. So I was small, but I was up for it. It wasn't hard, but I've had my black eyes, I've had my cut lips, I've had my kick-ins, but I've also administered kick-ins and things like that, because that's part of the game. So, anyway, I began to check my behaviour. Beginning of '85, I moved to, I had got some goals to pay off my fines. This is going to be a short thing. I set off my goals. I had some. You have to excuse me. I set off some goals to pay off my fines and to keep out of trouble. So I kept away from football because I knew that if I carried on, I'd be in prison. I'm going to do a second part of this. God bless you.